Previously on Bob's Crab House. All right, folks, we are finally to the Oh, hello. Give us a big hug. We are finally to the last part of the first drop. This will be 1.5. Last one was 1.4, and I missed something in that one that a sharp-eyed viewer saw. We had a crab escape. We right now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a 7th, but I don't think that's the one that got out. If you go back, just fast forward in 1.4 and look at 1324, you'll see in the upper left, you'll see a small Dungeness able to get out between the bars. I don't think that's the one that's just crawling out there and behind there now. So that was 7, that's probably an 8th. We have a red rock, a 9th that was trying to get in before, but I don't know what happened to that one. So we've got quite a few crabs here, and this is a spot where I've pulled up, 10, a dozen crabs in one pot in a long soak. Again, this is just going to be about an hour soak, so I want to see how many are in there. But I don't know if that's a function. Push-ups, giving a little boost. We've seen, we've got the Thunderdome going on in here, and we've got that aggressive red rock in the back, Rocky 1. Although that female, she ain't taking any crap from him, the one who's on top of the cage now. She's been back there and able to get to the food and go toe-to-toe with them. The other ones seem to be happy just staying down current. And I think, wondering again, this is... If we do get a little scientific about this, somebody's coming in from the left. If we do get a little scientific about this is just a, anecdotal sample of one. But the more I do this, the more we see actually what happens down here, the better we'd actually, be able to make conclusions as opposed to talking out of our crab ass here. But, anecdotal stuff is how you learn, especially behavior. You just got to see enough of it for it to really be valid. But look at that female in the back. She's smarter. I mean, these are all crabs. They deal with other crabs all the time. She's behind him, and he can't get his claws at her. We've seen these guys tussling, and we've seen that red rock especially swinging some big claw, those big Popeye arms at the other crabs. But nobody's really getting hurt. And you find that a lot in wildlife, bluff charges and just blowing up and fluffing up your feathers and your, the hackles and things like that. A lot of it is show. These push each other around, but, they're underwater, so they're not very heavy. It's easy to push around, and it's probably more show until they get into something serious. I think it's octopus. Oop. Yeah, see, nobody's getting hurt. These guys are armored like robots. Crab bots here. Oh, coming up. Gonna give us a close-up. And we're trying... Oh, that's a female. This one right here on the right. That's a pretty female. You can tell by the belly right there. That's where, during the season, she would hold her... During the breeding season, that's where she'd hold her eggs in the back there. And if we have a male come across, you'll see that same tail that's kind of tucked underneath on their belly, his will be kind of long phallus shape, even though that's not quite how crabs work. What else do we have? Oh, we've got one climbing up on the turnbuckle. This could be a wrestling move right here. Yeah, smack down. Not going to jump, just getting a good vantage point. So, yeah, I don't know. Is that one looking, or is it trying to get out? That's another thing we're wondering. I think we've shown that this bait is effective. This can bait, it's nice and clean, and it's effective. So we've, got 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 crabs around here. So it's definitely drawing them in. But is it keeping them? Oh, here comes another one. That's a male Dungeness in the background there with his back towards us. But is that why the small one did the small one get out because the got in and suddenly realized, whoop, I'm in a confined space with a big Dungeness and some other big cousins or I'm sorry, the big red rock and some big Dungeness, and just said, you know what, I'm going to go find an easier meal somewhere else. It's not worth getting my butt kicked. Or is it just that it couldn't get to the bait and decided to go somewhere else? So very interesting that we saw one climb out. And of course, a legal one wouldn't be able to. In Washington State, the mesh has to be a minimum of 2.25, 2.25 inches. And in these cages, it's 1.5 inches, I think. Okay, so who is that? That's a great close-up look. Look at that orange. Really nice orange. These guys, you might think they're just mud brown, but when you get a close look at them, you see they've got orange legs, they've got purple claws. Yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, I'm sorry, the mesh has to be, in Washington State anyway, a minimum of 1.25 inches. These metal pots are larger than that. And so the small ones, real small ones, can get out. Even below legal size will be stuck inside here and get a little ride to the surface before you let them go. And get another good close-up here. Come right over. I know people, so there's a male. That's a good look at that belly. That long, thinner tail tucked between the back legs there and coming up the belly. So that's a good shot of a male if you're not quite sure between the two of them. The others are real V-shaped, kind of crab vajayjay shaped. So the real small ones can get out. Sub-legal size can't get out, and legal size can't get out unless they're able to use the door. The other part of the regulations, those circles that you see, if you look between this crab's legs on the other side, or on the upper side, those are the escape hatches, and they're tied with what we call rot cord. And that's, you can use simple cotton string, thin string. And the idea is that if you lose this trap, if you totally screw up, you don't put enough weight in it, you don't mark it right, you put it in a ferry channel, it gets run over and it gets lost. If there's crabs inside, you don't want this thing to just hold them forever and just keep, you have some crabs dying, so it just keep attracting more and more animals in there, and it just becomes a killing machine. So you have those escape hatches, and they will eventually rot away so that crabs, here, that's a Dungeness coming in on the right side, trying to come in. So the escape hatches, they can get out. The problem is if you use regular string, that will last long enough to starve whatever crabs are in there. So I'm looking at hemp and maybe some other materials, and also the idea of these shorter drops of an hour or so. And somebody in the comments talked about doing 15-minute drops, which works for him. So shorter drops lose less pots. Again, 12,000 get lost in Puget Sound every year, which is just ridiculous waste. So yeah, you can see now. Every time I've tried this chub mackerel, when I pulled them up after an hour and 15, there was about half a can left. Oh, look at that one. That's a great shot of those mouth parts working. How cool and freaky is that? Very cool evolution. So they've got, I think it's, hopefully none of my marine biology teachers are listening. Oh, now we got a red rock coming in on the left and a Dungeness on the right. But look at that one lower right. So they've got all those moving parts. I think there's 3 on the outside and 3 on the inside that are all different kind of cutters and grabbers. And that's got a big barnacle right on the eye. And look at the barnacle also on the mouth parts, the outer mouth parts. That's got to be a pain. How cool is that? So it's interesting when we get a density in here, like that red rock on the left, that one can't come in because that Dungeness is weighing down the door. And on the right, they're in front of the door, so they can't get in. And maybe that's another factor of, but you're not going to be able to fix that because those are the down current doors. I don't know if we've seen any crabs coming in from the up current doors. There's another great shot. I don't know what he's doing. He's trying to scratch my dome port. us a big hug. That one in the back, so that's just a bit big to get out of there, but that looks like a sub-legal size Dungeness in the very back. So now these others seem to have given up, but they may be feeding on plenty of food that's coming out of this trap. And for we've talked about some solutions to things we've seen about already, like the camera angles and what's going on behind. But I did, yep, so there's the male. He's ripping the camera. He's going to take a souvenir home. Yeah, I like this. I don't know. So underwater, we have, I've had fish, definitely the marine mammals, the sea lions, the dolphin I've dived with, seals, sea lions, dolphins, what else? A lot of creatures, fish, definitely I've had in the warmer waters grouper. Some rockfish here will look in the dome port and they see a mirror, like a bird and like a parrot would do. These guys, I guess they could. Crabs have compound eyes, like a bug. They're made up of all these different little lenses that they have, so they kind of, oh man, that is really cranking on that camera. They've got, their vision is like a pointillist painting. They see, I forget what the number is. It's not very many. It's not like they see thousands of images, but it's in the hundreds, and they're not real sharply focused, but it's a really good system, to see what they need to see. They can see predators. I believe they can see contrast really well. There's some that do really well, especially the ones that come. Look at him turning that camera. And then the fight going on with the red rock in the back. Uh-oh, everybody's coming for the camera now. Yeah, we've been burnt by nanny cams before. We want to get this out of here. But the crabs that spend time climbing out of the water, fiddler crabs, what's the other land type of crabs? But they have a really cool system for seeing polarized light, which helps them when they're out there on the mud flats. So yeah, so it's interesting seeing this density. I've pulled up traps with 10 or 12 crabs in here, so they have gotten in, but here we're seeing a real issue with some crabs. Oh, there is one right under the camera. All right, so there's one at the up current outside. It seems like there's crabs trying to come in, but they can't make it because they can't get the doors open because the other crabs are in their way. Oh, there you go. Excuse me. Pardon me. Trying to get here. Look at myself in the mirror. Oh, that's a great shot of those eyes. So the eyes are in the eye stalks, and they can kind of not quite pull back into the shell, but yeah, mostly pull back into the shell to protect them if they are having fights. And then they kind of swing around. So what's it doing? It's like it's trying to chew off what I have holding the camera onto the cage. Yeah, totally going to town. So one thing I'm going to do, sorry, jumping around, but started to say I think I've done 4 of these tests before I get to the next round of tests, which is where I'm going to try and make some improvements. Because again, we're only seeing one. This is 1 hour and 10, whatever it is, long drop. So we really won't learn a lot. We start to get observational data, some anecdotal stuff. But one of the commenters and I were kind of talking back and forth about, this is our pull. All right, I guess we'll get to the rest of that on the next one. So let's see what we wound up. So obviously that one on the left who was just trying to get in, he didn't make it. So you know what? You're always going to pull maybe too quick or too late. So it's on the bottom a little bit there while I'm pulling. This was about 30 feet of water. I had 100 feet of line out. So you can't help drag, but drag it from, that door's opening up. Anybody gonna fall out? So I looked like it dragged, 10 or 15 feet along there. So we got 1, 2, let's see, there's the red rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought we just had 6. Did I miss another one getting out? All right, 1, 2, 3. I could have sworn there were 6 in there. So the red rock is the one right down at the bottom. Here we come up at the boat. That viz was just amazing. And that looks like that'll be our take. But, oh, there we go. It was on top of the camera. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, that's our first drop. I'll start the next one as soon as I can, which will be drop 2, and we'll go 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're going to learn at Bob's Crab House. Thanks for tuning in.